Beneath everyday life sits a quiet reality, one that few people are willing to say aloud. Those who move through life alone with only a handful of friends, or even none, are not damaged. They are not abnormal. They are not lacking. Often they carry an uncommon inner intensity that the world does not yet know how to read. Carl Jung noted that the more deeply a person turns back toward their own soul, the more their social circle tends to shrink, not because they despise the world, but because their inner life begins to operate at a frequency that ordinary bonds cannot match. Many people never truly meet themselves. They take shelter in constant noise in groups in the ease of always being surrounded. Yet those who stand apart and follow their own route are doing something braver. They are encountering who they are. Here, you will see that having few friends is not a weakness. It is frequently a sign of growth, a mind unwilling to be molded by the crowd, a spirit that prizes truth over approval. Such people often embody qualities that are widely admired, but rarely lived: authenticity, independence, discernment, introspection, and growth. Each trait reflects someone who has not been consumed by the world, but has learned to rise beyond it. If you have ever asked why you feel different, why loudness irritates you, why surface-level talk exhausts you, why you notice what others overlook, or why you choose solitude when others dread it, you are about to grasp the deeper reason. Nothing is wrong with you. Something strong may be stirring within you. Stay with this, because by the end, you may realize you were never isolated in the way you feared. You were simply becoming who you were meant to become. Comment 1 if you've ever felt different because you prefer solitude, depth, and quiet over crowds. Do you see your small circle as a sign of growth, or does it still feel like something you need to fix? Comment 2 if you're still learning to trust your path. If you feel these psychology sharings are helpful and relatable, you're welcome to become a channel member and stay with us on a deeper journey. As a member, you'll get early and extended access to more in-depth practical content that you can apply in everyday life. In many quiet lives, there comes a point when you notice something distinctive about yourself, while others bend, reshape, or soften who they are to belong. You keep standing as you are. You do not contort yourself to satisfy the crowd's expectations. You do not water down what you know is true just to make others comfortable. Instead, you hold a steady honesty that many respect, but few are brave enough to live by. This is the first hallmark of those with few friends, the uncommon strength of authenticity. In a world organized around approval, where people often exchange their real selves for acceptance, you choose the harder path. You choose to live in accordance with your inner voice. Yet this decision carries consequences. Being genuine in a world built on pretense makes you noticeable. Speaking sincerely in a culture that hides its feelings can make you unsettling. Refusing to bargain with your values can cause some people to fade away quietly. Still, this is precisely what Jung described in the lives of highly awakened individuals. The deeper someone goes into their own being, the less interest they have in superficial companionship. Authenticity acts like a filter. It welcomes those who truly resonate with you, and it turns away those who only want a version of you that is simpler, smaller, or convenient. People with few friends often carry a kind of clarity that others struggle to replicate. You know what you believe and what you stand for. You recognize the wounds you will not keep ignoring and the dreams you refuse to surrender. This inner firmness is not noisy. It does not seek an audience. It simply remains steady, like a mountain unmoved, even as life rushes past. And there is an even deeper Jungian dimension here. When a person will not betray themselves, They enter a psychological space that many never touch. They step beyond the collective mask and encounter their own soul without distortion. That is why your path feels unlike others, and why you do not slide easily into groups. You are not formed by the crowd. You are formed by your essence. People with many friends often move with the outer world, while people with few friends often move with the inner one. You have learned to trust your instincts, your intuition, and your internal compass. You do not search for direction in society's noise. You locate it in your own silence. You may not see it clearly, but this authenticity is a rare strength. It guards you against false bonds, shelters you from the crowd's chaos, and ensures that anyone who stays in your life stands with the real you, not merely with the mask you might wear. Your solitude is not a void. It is a sign that you have chosen truthfulness, a sign that you belong not to the crowd, but to your own unfolding. Comment 1 if being authentic has ever cost you friendships or made you feel too much for certain people. Have you noticed that the real you naturally filters out surface-level connections? Comment 2 if you want to live more honestly, but fear how others might react. There is a silent strength that forms in those who spend much of life alone. It does not arrive all at once, and it does not seek attention. It grows gradually, like roots extending deeper into the ground, while everything above seems unchanged. That strength is inner sovereignty, the capacity to stand securely in your own life without needing others' presence, approval, or validation to feel steady. Most people look for themselves in the world's mirrors. They ask others to point the way. They use company to outrun their own thoughts. They avoid silence because silence exposes too much. But you, someone with few friends, have learned something else. You have learned that strength is not handed over. It is developed in the moments when no one is watching. Independence is not a posture. It is a condition of the soul. It means you can meet your days without waiting for someone to direct you. It means you trust your own mind enough to follow it. It means you have endured inner storms alone and realized you did not break. The solitary road did not ruin you. It formed you. Carl Jung wrote of the person who no longer depends on the collective for meaning, believing that true aliveness begins when one stops searching outward and starts listening inward. Those with few friends often arrive at this point sooner than others. You are compelled to grow your own roots because there are not always hands holding you up. You become self-contained not from arrogance, but from necessity. That is why people with few friends often carry a calm presence. You do not fall apart easily, and you do not panic when the ground shifts. You have already learned to walk without leaning. You have learned to keep moving even when the world is quiet. This sets you apart in ways many cannot interpret. Your independence is not coldness or emotional distance. It is a form of clarity. You understand that your happiness cannot be owned by someone else, that your decisions must remain yours, and that your life is ultimately your responsibility. Those who have never stood alone rarely understand this kind of inner authority. And here is the deeper point. The less you rely on others, the more intimately you reconnect with yourself. The less you depend on external noise, the more clearly you hear your inner voice. The fewer hands you reach for to feel stable, the more you discover your own strength. You have built an inner foundation, not because life was gentle, but because you refused to collapse. Walking alone reveals who you truly are. When you stop needing others to make you whole, you become whole in your own right. This is the hidden force of solitude, not isolation, but sovereignty. The quiet knowing that you are enough. You may have few friends, But you hold something far more valuable, the very thing many people spend their lives searching for: yourself. In a quiet life, there often comes a moment when you recognize what many people miss. You do not allow just anyone into your world. You do not open your door simply because someone knocks, and you do not place your heart in careless hands. This is not arrogance, and it is not emotional distance. It is sacred selectivity. Many people gather relationships the way others collect things. They accept almost any company to avoid confronting themselves, but you do not. You have learned that closeness without depth becomes emptiness, and that a crowded life is not the same as a meaningful one. Those with few friends often have an unusual capacity to choose with precision. You read energy before words are said. You notice intention before action shows itself. You sense the unspoken weight behind a smile, a pause, or a tone. Because of this sensitivity, you cannot pretend. You cannot manufacture connection where your soul feels no resonance, and you cannot remain where your spirit feels depleted. Carl Jung taught that the psyche continually tries to protect itself. It alerts you when someone is misaligned with your truth, distances you from those living through illusion, and draws you toward those who carry a similar flame. Your selectiveness is not a defect. It is inner wisdom preferring quality over noise. Think of a sculptor choosing stone. They do not grab every rock along the road. They inspect, observe, and pick only what holds potential for beauty. You approach relationships in the same way. You know that each person you admit into your life shapes you even subtly, so you choose with care. That is why your circle is small, not because you are difficult, but because your standards are high. You value honesty, loyalty, depth, and emotional intelligence. You are not interested in people who gossip, pretend, manipulate, or perform. You would rather have one genuine soul than a crowd of shallow ones. And on the deeper Jungian level, this selectivity reflects individuation. You are no longer choosing people to fill an inner emptiness, but choosing those who align with the growth you have struggled to earn. You are not searching for a tribe to disappear into. You are seeking minds that reflect your authenticity, hearts that recognize your frequency, and souls that understand the same quiet language. That can result in fewer friendships, but it also brings better ones, more aligned, more sincere, and more meaningful. In a world where many fear losing company, you are willing to let go of what is false. That willingness is strength, maturity, and growth. Your solitude is not evidence that you are unwanted. It is evidence that you will not accept anything less than truth. There is a form of strength that does not raise its voice, does not hunt for attention, and does not insist on being recognized. It is built in silence, deepened in solitude, and formed slowly within the inner life of someone who can sit with themselves without fear. That strength is introspection. Most people spend their lives oriented outward, pursuing approval, distraction, and anything that prevents them from hearing the truth inside. They pack their days with noise because quiet reveals what they avoid. But you, who walks alone more often than not, have learned to enter the still spaces of your own mind. You have found what many never discover: silence is not vacant. It is filled with answers. Carl Jung taught that those who dare to watch their own depths begin to see life differently. They do not live blindly or react unconsciously. They recognize the hidden forces beneath their emotions, habits, and desires. They see not only what they do, but why they do it. This level of awareness is uncommon, and it is earned. Your introspection is like a lantern in a dark forest. While others stumble forward guided by impulse and routine, you move with intention. You pause before you respond. You reflect before you decide. You understand that every emotion contains a message. Every fear points to a wound, and every desire suggests a deeper longing. This inward attention gives you an advantage that few understand. You grow without needing outside motivation. You evolve without requiring someone to push you. You change because you choose to face what others avoid. Time alone becomes your teacher, your mentor, your mirror. And here is the Jungian point. Those who turn inward awaken, while those who refuse remain asleep. Introspection helps you recognize the patterns that trap others. It enables you to release identities that no longer fit. It reveals the shadows you carry and invites you to integrate them rather than deny them. This is why you think differently, move differently, and are so often misunderstood. You are operating from a depth of self-awareness that most people never reach. Your solitude is not loneliness. It is self-contact, the meeting place between the conscious mind and the deeper self. It is where clarity appears without being forced, where intuition grows louder than fear, and where you remember who you are without the world shaping the answer. The inner world you cultivate is not an escape. It is a sanctuary where your spirit recovers, your creativity expands, and your soul reorganizes after being overwhelmed by life. While others weaken when left alone, you return from solitude with sharper vision and stronger purpose. That is the hidden power of introspection, a quiet revolution within the self. There is a form of growth that is not produced by success applause or anyone else's validation. It is shaped by solitude, by the courage to walk a road most people avoid, and by the willingness to be different in a world that constantly pressures you to be the same. Those with few friends often carry this rare capacity, the ability to develop beyond society's expectations. Many people move through life on autopilot. They repeat familiar patterns, inherit beliefs, without examining them, and follow the crowd because the crowd feels safe. But you, standing slightly outside the circle, have access to something deeper. You have room to develop in ways others never even consider. Carl Jung believed real growth begins the moment someone turns inward, when they stop living for approval and start living for truth. That shift does not typically occur in large groups or constant companionship. It happens in quiet, in reflection, and in the moments when life demands that you rely on your own strength rather than the comfort of the familiar. Walking alone gives you a perspective many cannot access. It is like climbing a mountain while everyone else stays in the valley. From higher ground, everything changes, small problems shrink, loud voices fade, and the urgency below continues. But your view becomes wider, clearer, and more honest. This growth is not random. It is earned through the unease of solitude, the patience of introspection, and the discipline of carrying your own weight. Each challenge becomes a lesson, each setback a teacher, and each silence a doorway into deeper awareness. While many people judge their value by the number of faces around them, you judge yours by how much you have grown. You know that growth is not a social trophy. It is an inner transformation, a reforming of the mind, a strengthening of the soul, and an expansion of consciousness. Your loneliness becomes a furnace that shapes you. Your inner life becomes a teacher. Your reflections become a guide. Rather than chasing distractions, you pursue meaning. Rather than repeating old cycles, you interrupt them. Rather than being submerged by noise, you cultivate wisdom. That is why your presence feels distinct, and why others sense depth in you, even if they cannot name it. You have developed through experiences that required silence, matured through trials that demanded endurance, and expanded in ways that leave a calm strength in your voice and a clear steadiness in your eyes. The world needs people like you, people who rise through introspection, evolve through awareness, and carry wisdom, not borrowed from others, but forged through inner work. This is the uncommon gift of growth, found not in crowds, but in solitude, not in noise, but in stillness, not in popularity, but in the courage to become more than what the world expects. Comment 1. If solitude has helped you grow into someone stronger, clearer, or more grounded than you used to be. Are you in the valley right now? Or do you feel like you're climbing to higher ground away from noise and closer to truth? Comment 2. If you want that growth but still struggle with being alone. Few people ever uncover a certain truth, one that becomes visible only to those who move through life with more silence than company. Solitude does not make you weaker. It strengthens you in ways most people never reach. Long stretches alone build an inner base that cannot be easily shaken by circumstances, relationships, or the changing moods of others. Many people construct their identity around their social world. They take confidence from approval and borrow their self-image from how they are seen. When relationships shift or fall apart, their foundation can collapse. But not yours. Your strength rises from within, not from the echo of other voices. Carl Jung believed the strongest individuals are those who meet themselves in quietness and emerge intact. He taught that when someone knows their inner world, they become steady and immovable because nothing external can pull them away from their center. This is the kind of strength solitude has been building in you. You have learned to remain with fear until it loosens. You have learned to listen to intuition until it becomes clear. You have learned to trust inner guidance more than the world's noise. This is not ordinary strength. It is resilience at the level of the soul. People with many friends often spend their lives negotiating the expectations of others. But when you walk alone, you negotiate with truth. You choose what aligns with your soul, refuse what drains your spirit, and make decisions with a clarity others may envy, but rarely understand. This strength stays quiet. It does not need announcements. It appears in how you hold yourself together when life tests you in your calm, when others panic, and in your depth when others skim the surface. It shows in your eyes, your voice, and the way you move through the world without needing anyone else to feel whole. While others wear themselves out, maintaining appearances, you save your energy for what matters. While others fear being alone, you draw strength from it. While others cling to attention, you choose connection only when it resonates with your truth. That is why people misread you. They assume you avoid crowds out of shyness or keep few friends because you are distant. But the truth is deeper. You do not fear people. You refuse to abandon yourself just to belong. This is real strength. The wholeness of someone who does not break in solitude. The steadiness of someone who carries the calm of an entire inner world. Solitude has not reduced you. It has shaped and strengthened you. There is something distinct about people who move through life with only a few companions. Something that cannot be taught in classrooms or absorbed from books, and that arises only through the blend of solitude, reflection, authenticity, and careful connection. It is wisdom, not the loud wisdom of experts or the technical wisdom of scholars, but the quiet wisdom of the soul. Those with few friends often understand life more deeply because they watch more than they speak, feel more than they display, and think beyond the moment directly in front of them. While many drift through life reacting to whatever happens, you move with awareness and intention, guided by a clearer sense of what matters most. Carl Jung taught that wisdom grows in silence, that the inner world expands when the outer world becomes quiet, and that the person who reflects on their own journey will surpass the one who only looks outward. This is the road you have taken, whether by choice or by instinct. You have learned to read the emotional climate of a situation. You sense tension before it is said aloud. You recognize sincerity and detect masks. You notice patterns in human behavior that others do not see. This is not magic. It is perception refined through solitude. Life has carved depth into you. Each hardship became a lesson. Each disappointment opened a door to self-understanding, and each quiet night alone became a conversation with your own soul. That is why people feel something different when they meet you. Your presence cannot be imitated, because it was earned in silence. Others may label you reserved or assume you prefer distance, but the truth is more profound. You do not waste your energy, scatter your heart, or offer loyalty to those who cannot hold it with care. You choose connection the way a skilled artist chooses color, deliberately, intentionally, with meaning in every choice. This is wisdom in action, knowing who deserves access to you, protecting your peace, and growing in your own direction even when the world pulls elsewhere. And here is the paradox. The very traits that make you seem alone are the same traits that make you remarkable. You may not have a large circle, but you have a deep self. You may not be surrounded by people, but you are surrounded by clarity. You may not always feel understood, yet you understand life in ways few ever will. This is the quiet wisdom that distinguishes you, the unseen crown you wear without noticing. It is the gift solitude has given you. Yet, there is one more layer that almost no one talks about. Solitude is not only what shaped you, it is also what initiated you. In Jungian terms, the moment you can stand without constant company is often the moment the psyche begins to reorganize around something deeper than the ego. The ego wants reassurance mirrors and membership. But the self, the larger center of the personality, wants wholeness. And wholeness is rarely born in crowds. It is born in the quiet, where your persona can no longer keep performing, and where your shadow can no longer be kept in the basement. This is why solitude can feel both peaceful and unsettling. It strips you of borrowed identities. It confronts you with the parts you once rejected, the anger you swallowed to stay good, the longing you minimized to stay strong, the sensitivity you hid to stay acceptable. Jung warned that what you do not make conscious does not disappear. It returns as fate. So, the very emptiness you once feared becomes a doorway, the space where you finally hear what has been trying to reach you all along. Not the world's voice, yours. But don't confuse this path with superiority. The archetype that often walks with you here is the hermit, not to escape humanity, but to see clearly enough to return with something real. Individuation is not isolation. It is integration. The deeper you meet yourself, the less you need false bonds, but the more you can recognize true ones. You stop choosing people to numb you, and you start choosing people who can meet you where you actually live in honesty, depth, and inner responsibility. And when that shift happens, your small circle stops looking like a loss. It starts looking like a sign that your life is no longer organized around fear of being alone, but around the courage of becoming whole. And one day, those who once misunderstood your path may see what it truly was. Not loneliness, but evolution. Not isolation, but awakening. Not emptiness, but the long journey of becoming fully yourself. If you recognized yourself in these sections, if these qualities stir something quiet, yet undeniable in you. Hear this plainly: nothing is wrong with you. Nothing is missing, and nothing is broken. You are not behind in life. You are simply traveling a different road, a deeper one that few people have the courage to choose. People with few friends are not empty. They are selective, discerning, and growing, while others merely drift. You are becoming someone rare in a world that rewards noise more than depth. And the world needs people like you, people who think, who feel, and who choose with purpose instead of impulse. So breathe and honor your path. Honor the quiet strength you have built and the person you are becoming. Your solitude has formed you. Your introspection has refined you. Your authenticity has protected you. And your independence has freed you. None of it was wasted. If this message resonated, let it begin a deeper conversation between you and your own soul. And if it helped you see yourself more clearly, stay connected with this space where depth is valued and meaning is protected. If this video moved, you give it a like so it can reach others who need this reminder. Subscribe if you want more reflections that awaken the mind and strengthen the spirit, and share it with someone standing at the edge of their own becoming. Thank you for being here, for thinking deeply in a world that fears silence, and for choosing understanding over conformity. Until we meet again, stay rooted in yourself. Stay aligned with your truth, and let your quiet strength speak louder than any crowd ever. Comment 1. If this message made you feel seen, like your quiet nature is strength, not a flaw. What's the biggest gift your solitude has given you so far, clarity or resilience? Comment 2. If you're just beginning to accept your path and want to grow into it. If you'd love to keep receiving more meaningful videos about psychology, healing, and understanding yourself better, consider supporting the channel by becoming a member. Your registration not only unlocks more valuable content for you, but also gives me the motivation to keep creating and sharing regularly.